You are 23 years old. It is a Tuesday. You are sitting in a coffee shop with a lukewarm Americano and a laptop that keeps dimming because you keep forgetting to move the mouse. Outside, people are walking to jobs they will complain about at dinner. Inside, you are filling out a form that will erase the next 30 years of your life, and you don't know it yet. The form is on the CIA website. It looks like a college application. Name, date of birth. Languages spoken. Countries visited. Yes, you answer everything honestly. You have a degree, a clean record, and a vague, restless feeling that your life is supposed to mean something more than it currently does. You click submit. You close the laptop. You finish the coffee. You go home. 6 months pass. Nothing happens. You almost forget you applied. Then one morning, between a bank notification and a promotional email from a shoe company, there is a message with a government domain. 3 sentences, a date, a location in Virginia. A reminder to bring 2 forms of identification. You read it standing in your kitchen in socks, the refrigerator humming behind you, and something shifts in your chest that you will not be able to name for years. You book the flight that afternoon. You pack 1 bag. You tell your roommate you have a job interview. He asks where. You say you're not sure yet. That is the first lie. It comes easily. That should tell you something. Level 1. The applicant. The building has no sign. And that is the first thing you notice. No flag, no logo, no indication of what happens inside. Just a parking lot, a glass door, and a man in a gray suit who shakes your hand with the energy of someone checking a box. He walks you down a hallway that smells like carpet cleaner and old paper. The room he puts you in has no windows. There's a table, 2 chairs, a cup of coffee you don't touch because your hands are already shaking slightly, and a man across from you who has been doing this for 20 years and can tell. 4 hours of questions. Where did you grow up? What was your father like? Have you ever used drugs? Have you ever felt sympathy for a government other than your own? The questions seem random. They are not. Every answer feeds a profile. Every hesitation is noted. You pass. Then comes the polygraph. You sit in a chair with sensors on your chest, your fingers, your left arm. The technician attaches everything with the calm of a mechanic. He asks if you have ever betrayed a friend. He asks if you have ever stolen anything. He asks if you have ever had thoughts about harming yourself or others. The machine cannot actually detect lies. You don't know that. You sweat through your shirt. You answer everything truthfully because the alternative feels unsurvivable. 3 weeks later, a letter arrives. 1 paragraph. No exclamation point. You have been accepted. But you sit on the edge of your bed and read it 4 times. Then you call your mother and tell her you got a government job. She asks what kind. You say you can't really say. She says, that's exciting. You say yes. Level 2. The farm. They send you to a facility that does not appear on any public map. 9,000 acres of Virginia woods and swamp, surrounded by fencing and men with rifles who look through you rather than at you. The locals call it the farm. You will call it home for the next 18 months. Your room is the size of a college dorm cell. The mattress is thin. The window faces a tree line. At 5 every morning, an alarm goes off and you run 5 miles in whatever weather Virginia has decided to produce. You eat in a cafeteria with 30 other trainees who all have the same careful expression. The expression of people who have decided not to reveal anything until they understand the rules. The classrooms are cold and fluorescent. You study foreign governments, terrorist financing, and something called tradecraft. Tradecraft is the agency's word for the mechanics of deception, and you are surprisingly good at it. You learn to spot surveillance. A car that has made 3 consecutive turns behind you. A man with a newspaper who has not turned a page in 11 minutes. A woman on a bench who was also outside the pharmacy 40 minutes ago. You learn to lose a tail through department stores and loading docks. You learn to pick locks, plant listening devices, photograph documents in low light without a flash. You learn to recruit assets, which is their word for convincing people to betray their countries. You study the four motivations: money, ideology, coercion, ego. Everyone fits somewhere. Your job is to find where and press. The washout rate is 40%. You watch people leave. Some of them cry. Some of them just disappear one morning, their seat empty at breakfast, their name unmentioned. The ones who stay don't talk about the ones who go. You learn that silence is its own kind of language here, and you are becoming fluent. Level 3. First posting. Your first assignment is an embassy in Eastern Europe. Officially, you are a political attaché. Your name is on a diplomatic list. You attend receptions in suits that are slightly too formal for the room and make conversation with people you are quietly cataloging as potential targets. As you shake hands and smile and remember everything. You write cables back to Washington about economic conditions and political tensions. The cables are real. The job title is not. Your first recruitment takes 8 months. He is a mid-level bureaucrat in the foreign ministry. Access to diplomatic cables. Gambling debts totaling $40,000. You find him at a casino on a Thursday night, losing badly, nursing a drink with the look of a man doing math he doesn't like. You sit down. You buy him a drink. You come back the following Thursday, and the one after that. You learn his children's names. You learn which bar he goes to when he's winning and which one he goes to when he's not. You loan him money. Then more. By the time he understands what is happening, he owes you $50,000 and you have never once asked him to do anything wrong. You ask him for a few documents, nothing sensitive, just enough to settle the debt. He sits very still for a long moment. Then he nods. He has no real choice and you both know it. You file the report. Your supervisor sends back 2 words. Well done. You stare at those 2 words on your screen in your embassy office at 11 at night, the city quiet outside, and you think about the look on his face when he nodded. Then you close the laptop and go to bed. You have another target identified for next week. Level 4. Non-official cover. After your second year, they offer you something different. Non-official cover. NOC pronounced knock. No diplomatic protection, no embassy to run to, no badge, no government ID, no thread connecting you to the United States that anyone could pull. If you are caught, the agency will deny you exist. The State Department will deny you exist. You will be prosecuted under local law. In some countries, that means prison. In others, it means a room with no windows and men who are not interested in your rights. In others, it means a field and a bullet and no one ever asking questions. The pay is better. You say yes. They build you a legend. A complete false identity with a history, a profession, a paper trail going back 12 years. You are now a management consultant. You work for a firm with real offices, real clients, real employees who have no idea what the company actually does. You travel to countries where America has no official intelligence presence. Solnart, you live your cover every hour of every day without exception. One evening, you are eating dinner alone in an apartment in a city you cannot name to anyone you love, and you realize you have not spoken your real name out loud in 4 months. You say it quietly, just once, to the empty room. It sounds strange, like a word in a language you used to speak. Your neighbors think you travel for work. Your girlfriend thinks you are stressed about a client. Your parents think you left government service years ago. The only people who know the truth are your handlers at Langley, and you communicate with them through dead drops and encrypted messages. You have not seen any of them in person in 26 months. You eat the dinner. You wash the plate. You go to bed under a name that isn't yours. Level 5. Special activities. Your cover is nearly blown in Beirut. A local intelligence service photographs you meeting with an asset outside a cafe. You spot the surveillance car 2 blocks early and abort, walking calmly into a market and out through a back entrance, heart running at 140 beats per minute while your face shows nothing. You are not burned, but you are compromised. You can never return to that region. They pull you out and offer you a new path. The Special Activities Division. Paramilitary operations. The jobs that are too sensitive, too deniable, I'm too far outside legal frameworks for the official military to touch. 6 months of training that makes the farm feel like orientation. Small unit tactics. Close quarters combat. Explosives. High-altitude parachute operations. Combat diving. Your instructors are former Delta Force and SEAL Team 6, and they do not care about your recruitment record or your language skills. They care about whether you can clear a room without getting your team killed. Your first deployment is Afghanistan. In 3 months in a mud compound in the mountains, eating local food, wearing local clothes, working with militia fighters whose loyalties are renegotiated constantly based on who is paying more that week. You call in drone strikes on compounds where high-value targets are believed to be present. You watch through binoculars as buildings become craters. Sometimes the intelligence is right. Sometimes it is not. The first time, it is not. You stand at the binoculars for a long time after the smoke clears. Then your radio crackles with the next grid coordinate and you move. You receive a commendation for a mission that officially never occurred. The medal goes in a drawer in the mud compound. You don't take it with you when you leave. Level 6. Team Leader. 5 years in the division. They promote you to Team Leader. 8 operators. 4 career CIA paramilitary officers. 4 contractors, former special operations, who earn 3 times your salary and follow your orders anyway. You make the decisions. You are responsible for the mission and for their lives, and those 2 things will pull in opposite directions more often than anyone in Washington will ever understand. Libya. The Civil War. Gaddafi is falling and the country is fracturing and weapons depots are being looted faster than anyone can inventory them. Your mission is to find and destroy chemical weapons before they reach groups that would use them on civilians. 6 weeks in Tripoli while the city burns in sections. You operate at night. You sleep 2 hours at a time in safe houses that rotate every 48 hours. You bribe militia commanders for coordinates. You raid depots in the dark, stacking up outside doors with no idea what is on the other side. You find 3 caches of mustard gas, 15 tons total. You destroy them in place, and rigging charges and walking back to a safe distance and pressing the button and watching the fire. On your last night in country, your convoy hits an ambush on a road that was supposed to be clear. 1 of your men is killed instantly. 2 are wounded. You carry one of them half a mile through streets you cannot see clearly, his blood on your jacket, bullets snapping through the air at intervals that feel almost rhythmic. The helicopter arrives. You load everyone. You get out. 2 weeks later, you sit at a desk and write letters to the families. The letters say he died serving his country. They say he was brave. They say you are sorry for their loss. Every sentence is true, and none of it is the truth. You seal the envelopes, you go home, you sit in your apartment, and you do not turn on the television, and you do not call anyone, and eventually it gets dark outside, and you realize you have been sitting in the same chair for 4 hours. Level 7. Station Chief 15 years. Your body keeps a record of all of it. A shoulder that dislocates if you reach too far to the right. From a fall in Afghanistan you never reported properly. Knees that announce themselves every morning. Tinnitus, constant, a thin ringing that lives just behind your right ear and never leaves. The agency doctors review your file and tell you field work is no longer viable. They offer you a desk. Chief of Station. Senior CIA officer for an entire country. Every operation, every asset, every piece of intelligence flows through you. You manage 40 officers and hundreds of local assets. You meet with the ambassador every morning. You meet with local intelligence services who are sometimes allies, sometimes adversaries, sometimes both in the same meeting. Washington wants results. The embassy wants to avoid incidents. The local government wants explanations for things you cannot explain. You balance all of it with the steadiness of someone who has learned that panic is a luxury. You approve operations that could trigger international incidents if they go wrong. You kill operations that could produce valuable intelligence but carry risks you cannot absorb. Every success is classified. Every failure eventually surfaces in a newspaper with your name carefully absent. You sleep 4 hours a night. Your marriage ended during your second Middle East tour. Your children are teenagers now. They know the cover story. They know the version of you that exists on the surface. Last Christmas, your daughter asked what you actually do all day. You gave her the answer you always give. She nodded the way teenagers nod when they have stopped believing something but decided not to argue. You watched her walk back to her room and you stood in the hallway for a moment, and then you went back to the cables that needed reviewing before morning. Level 8. The black site. They need someone to run a facility that does not exist. A warehouse in a country that will deny it is there. The host government has been compensated. The local security services provide perimeter protection and ask nothing. Inside, there are cells, interrogation rooms, a medical unit designed to keep prisoners alive and functional. The detainees are high-value captures, bomb makers, financiers, couriers who know where the networks are buried. They were taken in raids across 11 countries, never formally charged, no lawyers, no official existence. As far as the world is concerned, they vanished. Your job is to extract what they know. The techniques are classified under a term that sounds administrative. Enhanced interrogation, sleep deprivation, stress positions, temperature manipulation, waterboarding. Some of these were legal when you began using them. Some were made legal retroactively by memos from lawyers in Washington who have never sat across from someone who knows where the next attack is coming from. You tell yourself it is necessary. You tell yourself the information saves lives. On most days, you believe it. On certain nights, you lie on your bunk in the facility and stare at the ceiling, and the ceiling gives you nothing back. You run the site for 2 years. The day you leave, you walk out through the perimeter gate and get into a car, and the driver asks if you want the radio on. You say yes. A song comes on that you haven't heard in years. You look out the window at the road, and you don't recognize the feeling moving through you until you realize it is relief, and then you feel something else underneath the relief that you decide not to examine too closely. Level 9. Division Director back at Langley. The building you first entered 25 years ago with a carry-on bag and nothing to hide. Now you walk past the memorial wall. 139 stars. No names, just stars. Each one a person who died in a place they were never officially present. You know some of the stories behind them. A few of them are operations you planned. You don't stop at the wall, you keep walking. You run an entire division of the National Clandestine Service. Hundreds of officers. Thousands of assets worldwide. Billions of dollars in black budget funding that appears in no congressional report. You brief the president. You sit in the situation room while decisions are made that will never be publicly acknowledged. You recommend targets for drone strikes. You authorize operations in countries where the United States is not officially present. You testify before congressional intelligence committees in closed sessions with no transcripts. The senators ask questions. You give answers that are technically accurate and carefully incomplete. Everyone in the room understands the arrangement. They want plausible deniability. You provide it efficiently and without drama. You are 51 years old. You have not had a conversation that was entirely honest in over 2 decades. At a dinner with old colleagues one evening, someone makes a toast to the truth and everyone laughs. And you laugh too, and it takes you a moment afterward to identify why the laugh felt hollow. Level 10. The ghost 30 years. They retire you on a Thursday. Small ceremony in a conference room at Langley. 50 people. The director gives a speech about sacrifice and dedication and the price of freedom. Your colleagues applaud. A few are crying. You receive the Distinguished Intelligence Cross, the highest award the agency gives. It goes into a box in your closet because you cannot display it, cannot explain it. Yet it cannot tell a single person outside this room what you did to earn it. You sign more non-disclosure agreements. You are reminded that everything you did, everything you saw, everything you know is classified for the remainder of your life. The meeting ends. People shake your hand. Someone brings out a cake. You eat a slice standing up, holding a paper plate, and then you drive home alone on the highway with the radio off. You move to a house in rural Virginia. The neighbors are friendly in the distant way of people who sense something they cannot name. You do not have many friends. The people you worked with are scattered or dead. The people you knew before the agency are strangers now, their lives having moved in directions you were not present for. You cannot explain the scars. You cannot explain why you walk the perimeter of your property at 3 in the morning, checking the fence line, looking for threats that are not there. Your pension is generous. Your health care is excellent. The government takes care of its own, at least in the ways money can measure. But you sit in a house full of silence and 30 years of memories that belong to no official record. The assets who were caught and executed. The operations that went wrong. The cells. The letters. The stars on the wall. None of it officially happened. None of it will ever be acknowledged. You are a ghost. You did what your country needed done. Mas in the places it needed done, in ways it will never admit to. You carry that alone. You will carry it until you die. And when you die, there will be one more star on the wall at Langley. No name, just a star. The wall will not look any different. The building will not pause. The work will continue without interruption. Somewhere tonight, a young person is sitting in a coffee shop with a lukewarm drink and a laptop that keeps dimming. They are filling out a form on the CIA website. They are 23 years old, and they feel the restless pull of something larger than their current life, and they are reaching toward it with both hands. They don't know yet what reaching costs. They don't know about the name they will stop saying out loud. They don't know about the letters they will write to people they cannot tell the truth to. They don't know that the machine they are applying to join does not run on ideology or patriotism or any of the things the brochure implies. It runs on the willingness of people to keep going after the point where most people would stop. They will find that out. They always do. The cursor blinks. They keep typing. The cycle continues.